Crossbeats production.
What's going on? You're here with Nate to 8. This is Crossbeats production. So I want to show you guys a really quick video on how to know where to set your levels on your compressor, and if you're having trouble trying to figure out where your threshold should be and ratio and stuff like that. I hope this video helps you guys out. So I want to show you a quick tip that I kind of use when I do a lot of mixing for my tracks and stuff like that, and when I mix other people's tracks and whatnot. There's a technique that I kind of tend to use somewhat frequently, and it's by using this level meter within Studio One. So if you've got Studio One and you're mixing your tracks inside of Studio One, you'll have this meter on your plugin set of plugins there. So the way you find it, if you don't know where it is, just as a quick tip, it's in the PreSonus plugins. You just hit that button there and go all the way to the bottom, and you'll find it pretty much right near the bottom of the actual plugin list. So it's called Spectrometer. The other thing then is with the compressor, if you're not sure on how to set the compressor and stuff like that, there's lots of videos probably on the internet and YouTube about this sort of thing, but I think this kind of technique is kind of looked past quite a bit. So what I would do normally to set a compressor is, first off, obviously you don't have the compressor on, you turn it on, you activate it. Normally, actually I'll just set it from scratch, I'll just remove this altogether so you know what's going on. So I've got it on a snare. I'm just going to drag the compressor from the list here. So here it is here. Let's just drag it across, and we'll see what the snare sounds like without the compressor on. So first off, let's play the snare. Alright, so I'm seeing a peak around about 240-ish, and that peak is part of the actual sound of where the stick is hitting the snare and stuff like that. So I don't want to totally remove all of that out, but there is a tip that I kind of use to help with my compression and understanding how much compression should I use, where should I go with it and whatnot. There's a couple of things. So first off, to go through it, the way I set my compressor is I usually always use a site like this, so Nick Fever, and I set in the BPM, which is 180 on this particular track. And then it tells you down here, it tells you pretty much what the release times are for note delay. So it's generally used for delay as far as a delay calculator, if you're using delay reverb, things like that in your mix. But you can also use it for using a compressor as a release or attack settings as well. So let's look at this. For the attack settings, I want to have something like a release of 41 milliseconds because that's 132 notes, and maybe a 128 for my attack. So that's quite a quick attack. You can half that if you want to get even faster, but that's just a technique that I use. So let's go with the compressor. We'll turn it on. We'll put this to 10.1, just say for the sake of it, and let's go 166, which I think actually was 1/16th note from memory. We'll listen to that and see what that sounds like without any change to the compressor. Alright, so as you can see, this little dot here, it's pretty much just tapping that, not really compressing anything at all. But what we're going to do is watch this meter here, because this meter tells me, on the side here, it tells me pretty much all of the level that I'm going for and the level that I'm at. So if you just look at where the peak hits on this. Alright, so we're getting about close to, let's just say for the sake of it, minus 34. So we've got 24 here, minus 24, minus 36. We're kind of just midway up there, roughly about there. That's where the peak of that actual part of the instrument is hitting. So let's look at the instrument on the compressor, and let's just say we set this to minus 34 as the threshold to see where that actually hits a compressor. Okay, so we know for now, for a fact, that this compressor is getting about minus 9 dB of compression. So we're way, way lower than we need to be. So let's just say, for example, minus 26 as the threshold. Let's play it again. Okay, so there's a reason why this is happening, and you're seeing the minus 26, minus 9, whatever you're getting on the compressor, and it's got to do with the knee. So the knee is going to control the way the actual compressor attacks the signal. So if you can see here, this is a very sharp knee and it's set all the way to the left. If you go all the way to the right, it goes to pretty much just a big slope, like a slippery dip type thing. And that makes the compressor react even more to the signal. So let's just play it and see what happens. Let's just roll that up. Alright, I like the sound of that. It sounds good to me. I think that's quite a good sound for the actual compressor. Let's just turn the compressor off though and see what we get. So no compression, and let's roll this on really slowly. Okay, 1.4 gives me a kind of good sound. It's doing about -2 dB, so maybe -3 roughly to the effect of that. And you could either do auto makeup gain or you can do it yourself. So let's just go with, we'll do makeup of what we've got here, plus 2.8. Alright, so theoretically we're back where we started. Now, if you use these settings, I mean, whatever settings you want to use, it's up to you. But there's a technique that I usually use to employ a soft compression and a gradual compression to what I'm compressing. So the way that I would do it, you don't necessarily have to use this threshold setting like I've done here. This is one technique you can use. It doesn't have to be the way you do it every time though. So let's just say we turn this compressor all the way back to 1:1 ratio. And we pull this threshold all the way down to -48. Now we know that that's going to be this line right here. So pretty much anything that hits this line, it's pretty much most of the low end of that snare. But anything that's hitting that that line there, that -48 line, is going to be compressed. So right now, the knee is going to be, at what it is. It doesn't really matter how I set this knee right now, but I can leave it how I had it because it sounded quite good. So even if we set it to 6, just for the sake of it, because that's what it comes out standard, let's just roll that that ratio on and see what we got going on there. We'll just pull that makeup gain off and roll ratio on. Alright, so getting about -6.5 of dB reduction with this compressor. But the way that it's working is it's trying to attack the lowest part of the signal, which this compressor only goes to -48, so that's as low as it's going to get. So I mean, you could input the signal and boost it higher if you wanted to create more compression. There's just so many different things you can do. I'll just set that back to 0. But with, for example, a vocal or an instrument, say for example a piano, you can see on this piano here, there's quite a lot going on with the dynamic range of that piano. So it gets quite a loud peak. The transient's quite loud at the start, and then it rolls off and smooths off and does the same thing again. So it really depends on the thing that you're compressing. It depends on what you're trying to do with that audio source. It really just depends on how you're going to achieve the sound that you want. So back again with this compressor. Let's just go with the sound that we've got. We'll put it in the mix and see what it sounds like. Let's put some boost in there. Let's turn the compressor off and see what that sounds like. Now, if you notice with the compressor, it kind of helped the sustain of the snare continue on a little bit longer. That's the way that I set this compressor up, is why that occurred. I used the 166 millisecond to create that extended release on the actual snare. So, with your compressor, don't think of it as the fact that you have to watch what some person does and follow their method. That's not what I'm trying to show you on this. What I'm trying to show you is that a compressor can be used to do anything with the audio. It can use to be take away the transient, extend the sustain of the actual item that you're compressing. It can be done, you can do anything you want. You can use it to increase the volume of something and push it really hard into the compressor and distort it. Really depends on what you're trying to achieve with the compressor. So the reason why I wanted to show you this tip was because, looking at this meter here, it gives you a good indication as to what's going to be hitting the compressor first. So if you can see that the snare's got a lot of low end here, you'd suspect that that first part of the hit on the snare or the kick or whatever it is, the bass or whatever you're compressing, is going to be the driving force of that compressor. Now, when it comes to using the filter, then you can control what's actually going to hit the compressor. So let's roll this filter up a bit, which makes the compressor ignore anything below these frequencies here. So let's see what that sounds like. Now, to my ear, I think that sounds better than it first did. And the reason why it does is because it blends in with the kick a lot more. It allows the kick to kind of just feel in the space with that snare, and it sounds like it's supposed to be in one space, in one room, and collective together. So I just wanted to share all these tips with you guys, because I really think that stuff like this gets missed over, or people don't explain stuff, or people don't experiment with compressors or EQ and things like that to find out kind of what they can do and how it can help the mix, or how it can change transients or extend certain things in your mix. So anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.